Before we start our podcast today, we'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting,
the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging. I say not the government thing because our governments often work short-term because short-term looks wonderful. Oh my gosh, let's make people feel good in the moment. But they don't look after the long-term. They don't make long-term decisions that are wise.
Did you just get political on our podcast?
I got a little bit political. I got a little bit pissy. Is that a word? It's not pleasant. But, you know, that was the word.
Yeah, pissy.
Yeah.
So, we're getting pissy, folks. Happy New Year. My name is Kevin.
Hi, and I'm Janine. Welcome to the podcast, and we're here with Inward Journey for the first time in 2024.
Or 24.
Or 24.
Yeah. And
you had a thing about that. You needed to write 24.
I did, yeah. I didn't want to write 2024. I wanted to write apostrophe 24, which I did.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, I have no idea what we're going to talk about. We were going to talk about New Year. I guess New Year means New Year. In Australia, it means summer, which in Melbourne is just completely wet.
At the moment, it is.
Well, right now it's sunny, but it's so humid you could almost cut it, and which is unusual for Melbourne.
It is very unusual.
But it's been like that for a few years now.
What's New Year mean to you, Kevin?
New Year. New Year's Eve means fireworks. I was so privileged this year. I was really disappointed because the last couple of years the council, the mayor in particular, has stopped doing the fireworks on either side of the bridge in the centre of Melbourne. Those of you who don't know Melbourne, there's a road called Swanston Street. It goes straight through the centre, and there's a bridge over the Yarra River called Swanston Street. And the way the fireworks used to be done was that they were done on the river from a boat or more than one boat on the river. And you could go down to the banks of the Yarra and sit there and listen to a band while they're having a good evening and then watch the fireworks. And it was the most fantastic place. The one side of it was dry.
Yeah.
And the other side was everybody getting pissed. And so sat on the dry side, and you get to talk to people, mostly families and stuff, and listen to the band, and then take fireworks. Not just taking shots of the fireworks up in the sky, but taking fireworks as they were being launched. Taking shots of the fireworks as they were being launched. And they stopped doing that, and they started putting the fireworks on top of the skyscrapers, and they had regulated zones. Like I think there's 4 zones, and you have to go into those zones. You can't go anywhere else to watch the fireworks.
So it sounds like your New Year's Eve was a lot of fun and watching fireworks and
but
photos.
I didn't go there.
Oh.
I was on my way there. I was getting ready to go there earlier in the day, cleaning the lenses, thinking about what I might need to take, wondering if I should do it because it's not going to be a great view and there's going to be, lots of drunken people. And I decided I would do it. Then I got a text from a friend. Not a friend that I've known for very long. She sent it to me and a whole bunch of other people. It was basically an open invitation to anyone that we knew saying, hey, look, I'm not going out, so how about you come round to my place and we can have a barbecue on the roof and it's got a fantastic view over the city.
Oh.
Well, we went up there and we all arrived about 8 or 9 o'clock. There were some fireworks at 9:30. They weren't great. But we had such a good time. And I got lots of photos of, I don't know how many of us there were. The rest of the community or the rest of the building there sort of joined in gradually. And I got photographs of us and I got photographs of the fireworks and I got photographs of all the illegal fireworks because we're looking straight over the whole of the city. And it was just so good.
That sounds amazing.
It's really, really good.
I actually have seen some of your photos. I think you popped a couple of them on Facebook and some wonderful moments of taking pictures of friends.
Yeah, that was, I haven't done all of them.
Yeah. That's
and everybody
really good.
said they were great, but I got criticised. Why don't you put them all in an album so we, instead of popping them up once one by one? And I said, well, on Facebook, if you do that, people don't look at them. I said, well, we'll look at them. So, okay, but I haven't done that. I've just left them as individual photographs.
Oh, you're always going to get that from somebody. Somebody's going to want what you do their way. For New Year's Eve, we went to bed early and got woken up by the illegal fireworks next door.
Oh, really?
And, yes. Thanks for that, neighbours. Actually, they were quite impressive.
Did you get up and watch them?
I think by the time I woke up enough to go, I'll get up and watch that, they'd stopped. That was the end of that. Asha didn't worry about it. She was quite relaxed.
Yeah, okay.
She doesn't worry about that sort of thing. We're very fortunate that way. I guess I've done lots of training with her around noise sensitive and to rest on our safety, and so she was fine. So I guess our 2024 came in with a bang.
Bang, both of us. Yeah.
We were asleep. You had some definite ideas around 2024 or the start of the new year. Before we started this, you had some ideas and thoughts about our new year. What were they?
I can't remember. You mean like today, just now?
Yeah, you said it earlier before we started with recording.
I don't know. Did I have some? I had some ideas that weren't very positive.
Yeah, what were they?
Well, they were things like, oh, there's another year. oh, guess it's another year.
What's that about?
Well, it's not very real, actually, because, I mean, it's nothing to do with New Year. I think it's to do with the whole festive season. So the Christmas stuff, So,
okay.
I don't do well over Christmas, but I did all right this year. I was here for part of it. And then I went some other places too. It was good.
But both of us talked about having that time of Christmas very differently this year again.
Yeah.
So having talked about Christmas and talked about our responses, that there were parts of Christmas that were hard or harder than they have been, and parts that were quite wonderful. After Christmas, unfortunately, our family got together for our gathering on Boxing Day, which was just a wonderful time. But we all ended up with influenza after that. And that was the children and grandchildren and Greg and I, and apart from Asha, we were all really ill for at least 2 weeks out to everything.
Not good.
Not fun.
No.
No, not fun. So I'm glad you missed out on that one.
I'm glad I missed out on it too. Also, whilst you were sick, I share a house with a friend, and she also was sick.
Yeah.
She came back from Christmas really ill and was mostly in her bedroom, and I thought, oh, that's it, I'm going to get sick. Everybody around was sick. I didn't. Not even close, which was really good.
Yeah. For all of you out there who have had some levels of illness, really take care of yourself, look after yourself. It's a tough old time, and hopefully not too much more of that for us all.
I guess the thing about New Year, for me, one part of it is it's like a reflection.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the past year or past whatever, and I'm looking at where I am now, and I start judging myself. Like, oh, you haven't got enough money. Oh, you didn't do this. Oh, you're 72. You should have done all these things. And it's exhausting. It's just exhausting.
It does sound it.
And it's not true. Yeah. It's unreal.
That feels like it's that old recording that
I was just going to say that. It goes back to my family of origin, the home. It's just like, I can't remember them doing it particularly on Christmas or New Year. But it was there. Never enough, never good enough. Yeah, everybody else was better. And we should be like some fantasy family. I was living in a house of terror, and there was still, we should be more like the Joneses down the road. And the Joneses down the road also had a house of terror. It was just a slightly different one. It's just, yeah, I don't know. So there's all of that hangover. And I guess here today I've been listening to, oh, yeah, I wanted to get this in. Now I'm going to get it in. It's really good. I've been hearing for a long time about The Body Keeps the Score, and I think you mentioned it a long time ago.
Yeah. Fabulous book if anyone's interested. It's got a lot of theoretical knowledge, but it actually relates to giving examples, and it's Basil Vanderkoff.
Yes,
I think
that's
it
right.
is,
Yeah.
and it's The Body Keeps the Score. But carry on, Kevin.
Thank you for that input. Unsolicited, by the way.
It's a brilliant book.
It is. It's a brilliant book. I don't know why I'd avoided reading. I guess I was working with you, so I didn't need to. I felt I didn't need to. But I kept hearing about it in lots of different places, including in Narcotics Anonymous. And I know a lot of the people that were talking about it. So I decided to not read it, but to listen to it. You can listen to it on Spotify for nothing, I think. I'm not sure. Although I do have an account. Anyway, you can certainly find it on Spotify, and it's a really good way to listen to it. And yeah. So I listened to it, and it's hard work. It's a lot of hard work. He doesn't pull any punches, and it starts off with a lot of theory.
Yeah.
And although he explains himself, really well, then he gets into all of this, into the nitty gritty of it, and I found it so easy to relate.
Yeah.
And I nearly stopped. I could see anyway, I nearly stopped, and I didn't. And I got to about halfway through, and suddenly things are starting to change, and he's talking about how you might deal with this and stuff like that. So I went and asked a few of the people that said they'd read it, and I said, what did you think of this? I'm reading this book. And it's a great book, but I never finished it. I couldn't find one person, not one, out of, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 people. They had, none of them had finished it. I finished it.
Well, I'd finished it, but it's
Of course
interesting.
you finished it.
Yeah.
I didn't ask any therapists.
Well, Kevin, it's interesting because you're talking about a book, and to explain to our listeners, because anyone would think if you're reading a book, you're just reading it passively. Help me to explain to our listeners what actually occurs when you read a book that's on trauma, when you've experienced some trauma.
Well, it doesn't happen with all books, but it happens with his writing.
Yeah.
He's so clear about all the different parts of traumatic experiences, and he gives such great examples, and he talks about himself.
Yeah.
He puts himself in there as well.
Yeah.
And so it's so easy, without getting sucked in, it's so easy to relate. And so I can't think of a book. I'm reading another book on trauma, which I'm not enjoying as much, so I've forgotten some of the relevant details. And it's a book that I'll read again.
Yeah.
Or I'll listen to again.
Well, let me just try and think of something that becomes relevant, because it talks about the body keeps the score. So if we're thinking about facing a situation that's potentially unsafe, so somebody is aggressive and we're a child. So what happens is your body learns what's the safe thing to do in that space. So whether it's to fight, become aggressive yourself, to freeze because that makes you smaller and less of a target, or to run because then you can get out of there and hopefully flee to some sort of safe space. So there are those things that can occur. And the interesting thing is, in terms of if your body learns to do that, and often those things as a child, you learn them over and over and over, and your body does that. Let's say it's that one of freezing. Then what happens is potentially as an adult, you face an aggressive situation and your body still does the same stuff. And it has an adult body, but it still does the same. It still freezes. I don't know about you, but when I read that stuff, I start to recall sometimes when I've faced, for example, a family member, whether it be a brother or uncle who's been aggressive, and then my body recalls and my body starts to freeze.
Mine too.
Yeah.
So, and I like that because it was helping me identify.
Yeah.
It was uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was uncomfortable. It's helping me identify things that I'd already dealt with
Yeah.
and things that I hadn't dealt with. All right.
Yeah.
That's not clear, is it? So as things about some of the things that I have dealt with that I hadn't dealt with. So going through that with him,
That's clear.
I didn't feel like I was reading a book. It would be better to say that I was going through something with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess you could read it. You could fluff over it and just not take it in.
Maybe listening to it had more of an effect. I don't know. I'd listen to it for at least half an hour early in the morning.
Yeah.
And every time I jumped in the car, and probably another half an hour to an hour in the late afternoon, early evening. It was a big, big, big book.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. Well, loved it's not the right word, is it? I found it extremely helpful.
So loving the growth.
Yeah,
Or
and loving
the
the
challenge,
fact, loving the fact that
the change?
there's a way out.
Yeah. So let me qualify that, because let's say I'm reading along, I'm reading the book, and it gives an example of facing somebody who's aggressive, and then my body starts to freeze. When I stop and I notice my body starts to freeze, and then I go, oh, this is what happened back then. Oh, I'm not there now.
That's right.
So it invites your body to consider, I'm safe.
Yeah.
I'm no longer there. I'm not facing that person as a child. I'm a grown up, and I can face the aggressive person, whoever it be, or I can walk away, or I can make some other safe responses for myself. I don't need to freeze here. So that's the value of it. Your body visits part of the trauma as you read it,
My body reenacts it if I let it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
that's what he
that's
talks
more
about. It's
accurate.
got
I like that.
nothing to do. He talks about all the different parts of the brain, which I didn't understand a lot of it, but I understood when he broke it down to layman's terms, and he really separated this. It's like it's your body that is actually in charge. Whether or not, if you disassociate, then you won't know that. But if you're able to be with your body, it's well able to look after itself, and it's well able to tell you what's going on. And like you just said, and you can go, yeah, that's not happening right now. I'm actually not there. I'm here. But then by being able to do that, I could see which part of my body was affected. So which part of my body is keeping this story. So is it my chest, or is it my shoulders? Is it my stomach? Is it in my legs? Do my legs start moving when I'm thinking about this? Yeah.
It's valuable stuff, Kevin.
Yeah, it just had such an impact on me.
Well, if you think about that, so if you face, or if we face anything in life that reminds us of the past, and how often does that happen? And I'm noted that one of the topics that we're going to talk about in the future is triggers. So we'll start to
Yellow
talk
like
about
that. Triggers guns. No? No? No?
No,
Not those triggers.
not those types of triggers.
What it might be cowboys and Indians.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. No, people. So, no, people. So, anyway. But the point being...
I just upset so many people out there.
Oh, no, you so have.
I have, definitely, yeah. I'm not going to erase it.
I might.
Oh, no. I won't. I'll keep a copy.
Okay. Revisiting that space and going, I'm no longer in it. What it does is it changes your relationship to the past. It can't stop what happened back then, but what it does do is it stops the past controlling the now.
Because it gives me those tools.
Yeah.
Which is we just spoke about, which
Yeah.
is this is in here.
Yeah.
It's in my chest, and this is what this is about.
Yeah.
And I'm here now. I'm not there. So disconnect from that. Well, not disconnect. That's not the right word, is it? But I'm actually not there.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Yeah. Well,
Which
it
is something
it's
I've
disconnecting
been
from
telling my body for a long time. But being able to specifically say exactly where it is and what that's connected to.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is disconnecting from the past.
Yeah, I just
though.
thought maybe the word wasn't a good choice of words. Disconnect.
Yeah, disconnecting, or it's connecting to it differently. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's better.
Because it's saying that it happened and acknowledges the pain then. But what it's actually saying is, yep, that was significant, that was not okay, that was unsafe, and I'm no longer in it, and I am safe, and I can have an adult license or response, if you like, to respond to whatever's happening now. I don't have to respond with a frozen body or a fleeing body or an aggressive body.
Great book.
Yeah.
Amazing man.
Yeah.
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 I don't know what that's got to do with 2024. But anyway, there you
It's
go.
a start. It's a start.
It's a good way to start the year.
Yeah.
Janine's belting me and demanding that we talk about something or other I've already forgotten. So here we are. What are we talking about today?
I hit you.
You did. And again, did you hear that? Abuse.
So friendly, though.
You can't have friendly abuse.
You can.
You cannot.
It's a non-abuse. You can.
All right, okay. Yeah.
And stop banging the table. He keeps doing that, people, and I'm just like, in the middle of his talking, I'm just going to go, can you stop? Can you stop? What I was going to start
What were you
with...
going to talk about?
Yes.
Instead of abusing me.
Okay, let's keep that till off air. 2024 is often, or the start of a new year, is often around making some goals for the new year that you want to achieve. And I've started off with some good stuff.
You did?
Yes.
You did. I saw some of it.
Greg and I have given up sugar.
Oh, that too, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that we'll probably break that. We'll probably go back to sugar. We've certainly done this before, and we've done the 5-2 diet.
Shall I go and get some for you?
I'm not in any rush.
Okay.
But I think it's a start, and I'm really happy to slowly address how I want to live my life and just continue just to chip away at it and fail a little or go backwards. And then for me, it's all about stepping forward and,
Yeah,
and
'cause
being
we don't
the person.
fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a fail, but I'm going to talk about it in
Unless
that
we give up.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to have longer periods, which we've done, of really feeling well and being well. And we've done this for various reasons around our health as we're getting older. When I've been younger, I've certainly made some choices around that. So that would be one of my goals for the new year and our goals, Greg and I. What about for you, Kevin? Have you had any?
That's quite inspiring. I'm thinking that would help me to my goal of getting to 120, looking after my health like that. And still be around and yell and still be shouting at everyone.
But you might not want to do it. See, the interesting thing is,
Yeah.
it's like giving up something. Giving up, for example, like sugar, right?
Yeah.
You might think it's a great idea,
Yeah.
but you actually don't want to do it. And if you don't want to do it,
Yeah.
you won't do it, because want is where your energy is. It's like the people who come and they go, I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to be that. But they actually, they think it's a good idea to give up anger,
Yeah.
but they don't want to do it because they've got too much to gain by being angry.
I can tell you it's good fun being angry.
Tell us about that.
Really?
No.
No, good. Yeah.
No, thanks.
Things I want to do in 2024. There are some things I'd like to...
Did you hear
What?
that want is where your energy is?
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
No, I'm just letting you know that was my point.
Oh, okay. Is there something wrong with it?
No, I'm just
It's
making...
good?
Did you hear it?
Yeah, I just did. I don't get it.
I didn't think you did.
No.
It's because you really got to want to do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you have to want to do it. If you don't want to and think it's a good idea, you're not going to.
Well, I'm not trying, I'm cutting down on some things.
Yeah.
And I have been on food for a while. I wouldn't say that I necessarily want to, but I know that I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
but you don't have to have my goals.
No. They're my goals. So the food and cutting down and being active and exercise, doing more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not all of those things I want to do. But, yeah.
It's kind of like the goal, because you have to have the goal, and it's the long term, not the government thing. It's the long term. And why I say not the government thing, because our governments often work short term, because short term looks wonderful. Oh my gosh, let's make people feel good in the moment. But they don't look after the long term. They don't make long term decisions that are wise.
Did you just get political on our podcast?
I got a little bit political. I got a little bit pissy. Is that a word? It's not pleasant. But, that was the word.
Yeah, pissy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
we're getting pissy, folks.
Because I just think that we all talk about resilience.
Yeah.
Like it's this wonderful thing that we need to do and we need to encourage in our children and our grandchildren and all of that sort, and our friends, resilience in ourselves. But we also want immediate pleasure, immediate satisfaction,
I can relate to that.
Immediate answers, immediate soothing.
Yeah.
Which is bullshit, because you cannot have that and have a long-term goal, because long-term goals, there's going to be a cost to it. A cost to it of endurance around some sort of discomfort that's really important for the long-term goal.
Okay.
For example, let's just look at saving. If I'm going to save, that means I'm not going to spend. There's a thought.
Yep.
I'm not going to spend all my money in the process, and I'm not going to have all those feel-good hits.
Yeah.
But I'm going to plan, because I want the goal at the end, which is the savings to buy the thing, the house or the boat or the car or the holiday or whatever the thing is. So I've had a rant, haven't I?
You just had a rant, but that's a good rant. I enjoyed it. I really I can't remember his name, the guy who wrote The Barefoot Investor, talks about saving money. And I remember the first time I read it and I'm going, yeah, can't do that. And he went, if you're sitting there going, I can't remember his exact, but he said something like, if you're sitting there going, no, you can't do that, you can. You can always save. And I perked up and he said, every time you walk in the door, whatever change you've got in your pocket, put that somewhere, in a jar or something, and don't spend it. That's saving. So you could make a habit of doing that. So I do that. Yeah, it's really good. And I have got things that I want to do this year. Not just this year, but I have got things that I want to do. I want to take more photographs and of different things. So I've got a couple of large gigs coming up, which is nice. That's really good. And I know that I'll do some more. But I wanted to do some different types of photography. So I was sitting in my little office thinking about it and criticising myself. Well, you're sitting there thinking about it. Maybe you should be out doing it. Hang on a second. How can I be out doing it if I'm not sure what it is that I want to do? So I thought about it. Portrait photography. I've not done much of that. So I know how to do it. I could do some of that. And I thought about all the ways you could do that. And I thought, boring. I won't be doing that. And I don't know where it came from. As these things do.
Yeah.
When you're inviting stuff in, it suddenly appears.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how that works. Yeah. It's better than the Facebook algorithms where they figure out what you've been looking at and stuff. So it's like that, only it's much more powerful. So suddenly I thought, models. I could be taking pictures of models. But how would I do that? I know nothing about this. I started looking up on the web, fashion parades and things like that.
Okay.
And started subscribing to different things. And now it's only a few days has gone by and I computer when I started up in the morning is full of all this stuff. And I discard a lot of it. But
Kevin, as you go to do this, it'd be really nice if our listeners can see some of your photos on our Instagram. We've got our Instagram is Inward Journey Pod. So have a look at it. And what we'll be doing is we'll be posting a few of our things that we discuss on some of our history. We're going to be pop them on Instagram.
that was an ad from Janine. That was really good. Well done. Yeah, I will, but I haven't done any model photographs yet. My brother used
Did you like my ad?
It was great. It was a great ad. My brother, who's a photographer of some note, although anyway, he does what he does. It's not up to me to say. When he left, he was in an art college in Kent. And he finished, I don't know how he got this gig, but he worked for one of the major fashion magazines. I think it was Vogue. And his first assignment, gig, whatever you call it, was to go and take some photographs of models on the Greek islands.
Oh.
So he spent a lot of the summer taking photographs of all these models on the Greek islands. So, so it's not necessarily in a studio with all the background and the lights. It can be out there as well. So, so I was thinking about how to get started.
But seriously, Kevin, I would really like to see some of your photos. And I think the listeners would like to see some of your photos. Can we talk about this?
You're going back to your advert.
No, I'm serious. I would really like to see them, and I'd like our listeners to see them. I haven't taken them yet. Well, some of the ones we've talked about in the past.
So, yeah, we've talked about a few today, and I'll put them on our podcast. And the podcast is Inward Journey Pod.
Yeah, the Instagram.
The Instagram. Oh.
Yeah.
Our Instagram page is Inward Journey Pod. Yeah. Did you get that? It's Inward Journey Pod. And we'll be putting lots of stuff on there. We will. But not too much.
Yeah, not too much.
Yeah, not too much. Yeah. So where did I get to? So, yeah, I want to do that. That's something different for me. I want to do more writing, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So I probably mentioned it in one of our podcasts, but I try to do 400 words a day, which is what Graham Greene used to do, because like many writers, he got writer's block, and I get writer's block, and I procrastinate, and I don't do 400 words a day, but it helps me get back to the keyboard and do at least 400 words every other day, probably a bit more than that. And now recently we started writing a book together.
We have.
So that's good, because you got in touch with me when you were ill and said, hey, I've done all of this stuff. And I'm going, oh my God, I've just made a few notes. So it was great. Tell me what you've done. And went away, and I thought, okay, this is getting serious. So I went and wrote what we'd agreed that I'd write. Then I started doing some of my other writing as well. So it has that spillover.
But that's also that long-term goals that I was talking about. And you're talking about the discipline of sitting down and writing 200 or 400 words every day.
Yeah.
And it's that discipline and the difficulty of that. Oh, God, the dog's just walked in.
She's just arrived.
For a long-term goal of having a book or having a story that you've written.
Yeah.
Welcome, Asher.
Yeah. You got something to say, Asher?
Ash, say hi. Ashy girl. Look. Ash, say hi. Ash. Yes.
There are some other things I'd like to do in 24. In particular, I'd like to travel. I still have a list of places I want to travel, but whenever I think about it now, because I think about that last lockdown around Australia, and I managed to drive somewhere between 14 and 16,000 kilometres, avoiding the lockdowns in all of the states, which was fantastic. I had a fantastic time, and I was completely alone driving across deserts and through the outback, and it was awesome. It was just great. I felt completely at peace. And I had all of these electronic devices with me, and the more time that went on, the less I used them, until I ended up near Point Cook. Actually, I ended up just above north of the Daintree River. And I just felt like I could stay there forever. Anyway, so I'd like to do more travelling.
You can say that. Let's say that.
I'm doing it. It's being recorded.
Oh,
So,
I didn't know that.
well, Janine wasn't paying attention. She was playing with Puppy and didn't realise that we were recording. And what else would I like to do?
What else would you like to do?
Spend time with my daughter and my grandchildren. That would be good. Oh, they're far away. That would be good.
So it'll be about planning some time with them and going to them.
And I still haven't seen Nimue. I haven't met her yet.
Oh.
So it's maybe 8 months, nearly 8 months.
That's your granddaughter.
Yeah, she's 8 months old, roughly. And pursue my creativity.
Yeah.
Like, and listening to Julia Cameron again is really good because, my creativity is not finite. It just keeps going. It's like, if I allow it, if I pursue it, then it just like exudes from all over me, coming out of my pores.
I have a similar experience where I just feel like being in touch with that creativity means that I look at the problems or the issues or the day in a very different way, in a creative way, in a way of how can I resolve this, how can I be with this, how can I let this go. And those creative juices really fuel the way I look at something now.
And it's spiritual as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you say that. I always miss out on that part, and yet I think looking at ourselves, looking at our inward journey is very spiritual.
Absolutely. And how many sugars did you put in my tea? And by the way, thank you for the tea.
That's why I didn't notice you had the record on, because I was busy scoffing my face with crackers and cheese.
You've put 2 in
and
there.
I know, I didn't put any. You did.
No, I didn't.
I didn't. Have you got none?
No, I must have put 2 in. There we go.
So you weren't with yourself when you did that.
No.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was trying to make a point of something.
I don't know what you're trying to make a point of. But I remember now putting sugar in. I don't remember putting 2 in. Anyway, it must have been you, so it wasn't me.
Oh, okay. Yep.
All right. So
did we hear that, listeners? And it was recorded.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I'm always right. Everybody else is wrong.
That's going to be another podcast we're going to talk about.
I'm right. No, I'm right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that's it for me. What about for you?
I think so. I think we've started 2024 on a good foot or a different foot. And I'm liking where we're headed. I always like the beginning of the year because it feels like a new start to many things. And sometimes I think it's just a little bit of that extra energy that we're needing to push or prompt us on to the next thing that we want to do in life. Or getting on with life if that's what people need to do. And sometimes that's the boring and the mundane, but the important things in life that are common, and the plodding along that's necessary in terms of the long-term goal about living life well, whatever it be.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying doing the podcast in that we're gradually getting it more together and starting to do different things. But when we're actually sitting here doing the podcast, it's still crazy and chaotic and messy, and I really like that. Yeah.
I think that's how a good relationship can be.
Oh, okay. All right.
Crazy,
Scary.
messy, hopefully a lot of fun, and functional.
So that's it.
Functional is such a boring word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should throw it out.
Well,
it's not functional.
Healthy.
Healthy relationship.
Healthy relationship. So
healthy.
It's got all those other aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right.
It's great doing the podcast with you again and revisiting this space, Kevin.
Yeah.
I'll look forward to chatting with you again for our listeners, and hope you're still enjoying it, and we'll catch you next time.
Oh, hang on.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to say something about Instagram.
No, we have.
Weren't.
No.
We've done that.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, we've already done that.
Mm.
It's Inward Journey Pod. All right.
No, you did it again. We've already done that.
Did we?
Yeah.
We already talked about Inward Journey Pod.
Yes.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also talked about not making a point of it at the end
No,
of
I'm
the
not
session.
making a point of it.
No.
I'm just trying to be clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how are you going with the listening thing?
What listening?
Mm.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, people.